guys, welcome to City Sprouts and Jars. My name is Shannon and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to start tackling what was taking over my freezer, the tomatoes. Over the summer, I didn't have a whole lot of plants that I grew. I grew maybe 2 or 3 plants. And so what happened is I didn't have enough to process during that time. And so I took those tomatoes, threw them in my freezer. And then at the end of the season, any green tomatoes, I picked them and slowly turned them as they turned red. I threw those in my freezer. Well, they took over and now I'm ready to process them. So in the next few days while they thaw out, I'm going to peel them and then throw them in my roaster. So let's begin the journey. Hi guys. Well, that's missing and all that's left is this. So a few days later, I've managed to tackle through all of the tomatoes. I did happen to pick up a few extras from my dad, who likes to grow tomatoes and then save them for me to process. So I have already started, let's see if you guys can see here, putting some in the container and it's full. I do have it sitting at low, but in the meantime, I will continue to process this. So I wanted you to come along with me and so I can show you how this process goes. Okay, so this was once a frozen tomato. It's a little squishy and I just take a quick paring knife, kind of cut off the top, and you can see a lot of the juice will just drip out. It's unnecessary and the skin comes right off. Now, sometimes I will kind of cut open and kind of scrape out the seeds. You can see there, I'm just scraping them out. It's not necessary, but my family and I we don't care for a whole lot of seeds in our tomatoes. But if you want to, you could keep them. To be honest, you don't even have to. You could go straight from frozen to the skins and just throw them all in the crock pot or your cooker or whatever. But we prefer to do it this way so we don't have the skins. And then I'm just putting them in an additional bowl here. And then I put them in this so then the extra juices can drain off. So I'm going to go ahead and work through this last group here. And sometimes when I put these away in the summer, I will cut that core out, and sometimes I don't. Again, the core is not so much if they look pretty bad. See, this didn't have very many seeds at all. There's just a couple here, and I just throw those in there. But sometimes the core might be a little bit, and if I just, cut that top layer off, I'm really getting most of that, and that will cook down there. So you don't really need to cook out the whole bit of it. And again, not much seeds, maybe just a little bit. I'll squeeze some of that extra juice out and you're just left with the pulp. Some people will take the seeds and all the extras. Sorry guys, you probably can hear my dog eating dog food right now. It's dinner time for them. But some people will take all the skins and the seeds and dehydrate them, and it makes fantastic powder that you can utilize for tomato paste. Make sure you guys can see here. Sometimes I just squeeze out the extra water that's part of the tomato here. And as you can see here, I kind of just lay a towel down to catch some of those extra juices that will fall into my bowl here. Let's see if I can adjust you guys a little bit more so you can see me. And if I don't get all the seeds, that's okay. Again, like I said, it does break it down through the cooking process. Just, you know, for a better product, trying to get out some of those extra seeds. And I know there's going to be some people on here, they're going to ask me what tomatoes these are. I did a horrible job remembering which ones they are. I know I mentioned earlier that my dad likes to grow things. Tomatoes is his specialty, so he will start plants for me, all kinds, and he will tell me, and he marks them on the pot, and then that's pretty much where they're left off. I don't tend to, a tomato in my mind is a tomato. I'm going to switch it here so you guys can see a little bit more of the front view of what I'm doing here. Whoops. Just cutting that top part off. Slicing it down the middle a little bit. See if there's any extra. Kind of giving it a squeeze just to squeeze out that part. All right, I'm finishing up my last couple here. And I have to show you, I emptied this bowl already once from all the juice that comes out of these tomatoes. It's hard to see here, but kind of look here. You can just see all that juice. And that's what you can save out of all the extra time, even from it thawing out, even that. And then there is even more in this bowl here that I haven't. So here's what we're gonna do next. I'm gonna take you guys along here. Bring you over here. See if I can get you guys. I'm going to carefully, because it's up to the full rim here, just take these and put them in here. And kind of stir that in. I've had this going for a little bit, so it is a little bit darker, but it's already starting to thicken up really, really well. I'm just stirring it here. All right, so here is, so you guys can see me. Here's where you can do a couple different things. Here is, you can add your onions, spices, let it all cook down. I might wait on that and do that, let this all just cook down as tomato sauce right now, or just tomatoes, I shouldn't say sauce, because I think I want to do a couple different things. We like spaghetti sauce, of course, and so that has its own separate spices. I think we're also going to make chili base. So all we have to do is cook up the hamburger and dump the spaghetti portion of it, or your chili portion of it, and then you add your beans and stuff later. So I think we're gonna do that. So I'm gonna let this cook down a little bit, get just a slightly bit thicker, and then tomorrow morning we'll start. And we will prep this and can it. So in the meantime, I am going to pull my recipes. I am going to bring my jars up. I'm going to run them through the dishwasher, prep those, get those ready to go. And then I will see you guys tomorrow and we will start processing this. Good morning. Well, It's 9 o'clock. I'm on my second cup of coffee. I wish I kind of started a little earlier because we do have 18 quarts of tomatoes to process, but there's no time like now. So I'm taking another sip of my coffee. My second cup of coffee, that is. Before that, I'd like to talk about a couple books. This book right here is a great book to start off with when you're learning to can. A lot of times people like to start with the tomatoes that they grow. It's a great idea to go through these. A lot of them call for water bathing, and water bathing is a really good way to start canning. This next book here is also another good book. This gives you canning recipes. Along with that, it gives you recipes to use what you've canned. So this is a good one as well. Normally when I can tomatoes, I actually do one of the tomato sauces here. But today I wanted to use some of my green peppers that I grew in the garden over 2025 to use up in my tomato sauce. So it doesn't really have a recipe in here for that. It is going to be a pressure cooked sauce because I am using things that need a higher temperature for processing. So I did last night go through a chat GPT and it gave me a recipe to utilize by using some of the things in here. So we're going to pressure cook this. So come along. So, as you can see here, I am going to follow my recipe that I've got. Get my notes out. So we're going to start with doing the tomato / spaghetti sauce. And I also did a chili sauce one. So I'm thinking that we can probably do about 30 cups of this. But before I do that, I want to blend this a little bit and break some of these bigger chunks down that I have in here. So it's more of a smoother when I move it to my pan for cooking. So let's get that going. Okay, I think that's a pretty good texture. There is some in there, but not a whole lot. That's a skin. I don't want that skin. So give a good balance there, and you can see it's pretty thick. So we'll get started. All right, so I want to get started with my onions and green peppers in the saucepan while we are batching up the 30 cups. To do that, I also grew onions in the garden, and so I do have them pre-chopped and frozen as well, so I want to get those going. So let's start with a little oil. It does call for 2 tablespoons of oil. So there's 1 and 2. onions. Peppers out, and that calls for 2/3 cup of I know I'm going to use that whole entire bag today. I'm going to thaw them out a little bit. All right, I got my green peppers over here, and I need 2/3 cup. Okay, and then I need 2 garlic cloves. But what I do is I actually process my own or grow my own garlic also. And then I peel it and I grind it up, mince it up, and I create little cubes out of it. And then I freeze those cubes. And so I have some garlic here that I've got thawing out. So I am going to stir this up a little bit. I am going to, 1 cube is about 2 cloves. I'm going to set this over here for the other stuff later. I'm going to bring you guys in closer so you can see. Kind of flip you on the other side. I don't know if you guys can. So I'm just sauteing this up. You guys can hear my dogs in the background. I think they might need to be let out. You go outside? Okay, so I'm just getting my 30 cups in here. That barely fit. Wash my hands a little bit. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to let that simmer a little bit. After I add my sugar and salt. Now the sugar is really to your taste. It is an option, but sometimes the way tomatoes are, their acids that they come off, the sugar does definitely help. So, 1 teaspoon of salt. This is a 1/2 teaspoon, so I'll do 2 of these. teaspoon of pepper. All right, guys, can you see how great this looks already? Makes me want to cook up some noodles and have some spaghetti. Now, the only thing that I haven't added is sugar. I think at this point, I'm going to test it and see how it tastes. Really good, really good. But it does need that sugar. Now it says 1 to 2 teaspoons. I think I might have to do, well, you have to add tomato, or not tomato, you have to add a little bit of lemon juice at the end, and that will also make it sweeter, so. We'll let that kind of work itself in, and then we'll do another test. Get a new spoon. That's really good. Yeah, perfect. So I'm gonna let this just kind of simmer a little bit, finish working all those other spices, and I will bring you back when we're ready for the next step. In the meantime, I think I'm just going to kind of reset some things and we'll go from there. Okay. We're ready to begin canning these. A couple things that I wanted to talk to you guys about. I'm not going to go into some great detail on how to pressure can. If you guys are interested in that, I can certainly show you. But I did fill my pressure canner up with water. You are to fill it up just to the first line. It's starting to warm up. I'm not going to discuss like your pressure or anything like that because that you need to go into detail. The amount of pressure and weight all depends on your altitude and things like that. So I'm not going to go over that, but what I will show you is what we're going to do with this. We're going to put them in jars. They're only going to go with 1 inch headspace that we're going to do here. And then I have my lids. These are brand new lids. You need to make sure you're using brand new lids. I kind of just soak mine in warm water just to get some of that new residue off, and as well as my lids. My lids are clean. They're just soaking in with the lids there. Okay, so let's get started. Bring you down here so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Okay, I need to add some citric acid or lemon juice to my jars, 1/4 teaspoon. This is very important that you guys do know this, that you cannot use real lemon. You have to actually use the concentrate or the citric acid. And what this does is just helps that acidity. It also keeps those tomatoes fresh. And again, I lay a couple towels down because this can get very messy. And I just use the same towels for my canning. So I kind of have a little canning section here in my kitchen. You want to make sure that you don't go over that 1-inch headspace, because one, you can siphon or it won't seal right. A couple other things is it can possibly break during processing. And 1 inch is just right at the bottom lip of the cup. Okay, so this one here I thought I'd show you that I did go a little over. So I'm just gonna take a spoon, add it to the other one till I'm down to that spot. You can hear my water boiling, so I want to turn it down a little bit. Because I don't want it too hot. I almost want it the same temperature as my jars. So I do want to, I turn that down. Because again, if you have two different temperatures, you could risk the jars breaking or again, some siphoning. This is such a great way to use those tomatoes that you have on hand. And you don't necessarily have to grow your own tomatoes. You could go to the farmer's market, or your local farmer, or even your local store and get tomatoes. It still would be a lot better than something that you store-bought because it's got your seasoning, less preservatives. Okay, they're all full to their headspace. Now the next thing I need to do is I actually need to clean them up before you put the lid. You don't want any, with tomato sauce or anything that you're canning, you don't want to have any residue left on the end of this lid because it is sticky and it won't seal correctly. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So the first thing I do, you can clearly see here, I have something here. So I just take and wipe that away. And I just go around every single one of them, just cleaning that top part so that I can create a great seal. And I don't know if you can see that, but I do already have quite a bit just on had to get another paper towel. Okay. So the next thing is to put your lids on. And when I do this, I kind of go around and I feel to make sure there isn't any chips or anything that I'm gonna have a good seal. I also make sure that it is actually clean. I I get a lot of jars at consignment stores. Friends bring them over to me, and so you just don't know how old those jars are. And while they may look good, they might have a chip, so you just want to make sure, because you won't get a good seal. You want to make sure that this is something that you can preserve on the shelf. All right, the next thing is, and I put the rings on and I just do finger tight. So I kind of go until my resistance. I don't do super hard, I just go until my resistance. That's something hard to teach, honestly. The best thing I've learned is just go finger tight, that you're not doing this, you're just doing this to where your fingers stop. Oops, that's not a good lid. Okay. The next thing is, I do have a little bit more in here, but we're gonna get these in the canner. So I do have some vinegar that I do add to my pot, just a splash. What that does is helps eliminate those hard water stains that you have on your jars when you're done processing. All right, so I'm going to put the lid on this, bring it up to pressure, and we are going to cook this for 75 minutes. I do have a little bit more of sauce, and so I'm going to finish putting those in jars. When I'm done with that, I'm going to set those aside, and we will start working on our chili. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started on our chili with this. And so very similar, we're going to start off with 1 cup of onion, 2/3 cup of green peppers, 2 garlic cloves, 2 teaspoons of olive oil to saute those. And then our spices are different. So our spices are going to be the chili powder, ground cumin, paprika, salt, pepper, and sugar. And all to work with those additional spices to my tasting. We're going to use 30 cups again of the basic tomatoes. So let's get started. All right, guys. Well, unfortunately, halfway through that, my video turned off and I did not know that. But what did you miss? You missed the fact is that I added my 30 cups and my seasoning to my chili. So that was, so I can go through it again with you guys. That was the 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of ground cumin, 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of salt, ½ teaspoon of black pepper, and 1 to 2 teaspoons of sugar. The other thing that I did add, because we do like our chili a little spicy, I did add some crushed red pepper. I added actually a teaspoon of that in there as well. So this is ready to go and it looks fantastic. And this is done for the first round. And it turned out beautiful. So let me just grab my tool here and I'm gonna bring these out. Oh goodness, look at that. Now I definitely let this sit in here for a while to cool down, to avoid any extra siphoning if that was going to happen. Now what I will do, I won't touch these now, but I will, tomorrow, I will write on them what they are, the date, and I will also give them another wipe down because some of the, you know, as it's boiling here could get sticky and you leave some residue on there, so I will clean that. I do need to start some fresh water because for this, just to get it back down to a decent temperature because it's not the same temperature. That in here, and I will put a splash again just to eliminate that residue. And then over here I had some extra jars. I'm going to put that in here and then I will take you over and we will load the chili sauce. Okay, so I'm going to put my lemon juice in here, and since these are bigger jars, I am going to put more in here. And then again, 1 inch headspace. So this is going to be very similar to what we did for the spaghetti sauce. I'll just do this one real quick and show you what I'm going to do. And then I will take you to when I'm finished with these. And I threw my spoon in the sink. But again, if you're a little over, you want to make sure that you get that part out. So again, just like what we did for the spaghetti sauce, I'm going to wipe my rims down, fill around to make sure there isn't any chips. I'm going to put my lid on it and my ring, and only finger tight. I'm going to do that. So when I'm done with these and I'm getting ready to load, I will show you that part. All right, guys, since this was fresh water, I'm going to bring this up to a boil, put the lid on, and get it to pressure. And this is going to cook for 90 minutes. So I think that's pretty much where I'm going to leave off. I can show you the finished product when it's done. Other than that, friends, thank you for joining me. If you like this video and you want to see more, please consider subscribing and liking this. I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope you give yourself a chance to grow some tomatoes this year and try this out. Thank you.